You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. I hope everyone is having a good start to your Tuesday here. Howard here to do our pre-market prep. Take a look what's going on across the markets so far. What are we seeing? Is it looking at risk on? Is it looking at risk off? What are we seeing in the market so far to give us a gauge and a head start to our trading day? Well, we had seen a pretty, and I guess we're back to all three of the major indices being green here. The Dow Jones up about 10 basis points. The S&P pretty flat, up only 2 basis points. And we do see the NASDAQ is up about 31 basis points so far. So all three of the major indices are slightly green right now, but I would say that slightly green, not really showing a whole lot of strength here at all. And when we start to take a look through our next segment of risk on, risk off after the indices, I like to go to treasuries. Treasuries give us a decent gauge. If they're moving to the upside too much, it usually is not great for risk on assets. If they stay neutral or move to the downside, it can allow risk assets to have a nice day. And we do see they're playing ball today. 10-year pretty flat right around that 4.04. And quite honestly, those are the lows we've seen in a while, going back towards November of last year. So we still have rates being conducive to some risk on. 30-year, same thing. It's dropped down slightly here, 4.69%. And when we look at both gold and silver, while they've been on a heck of a run here, you can see they have also pulled back slightly this morning. Gold down about 1.5% at 51.50 or so. And silver has blown a little bit off of its highs of about 89 yesterday and back down around 87.76. But again, it's been a heck of a run for both. Healthy consolidation is nothing to worry about, and both look fine. We do see a little pickup here on oil again, so we're getting towards the highs here of our oil range. So I will say, again, you'd have to go back to last July to see, higher prices on WTI, and the same with Brent. Crude also, you'd have to go back to last July to see any highs there. So that is a little concerning, as we know a lot of that has to do with geopolitical concerns in Iran. Seemed like we were moving in the right direction. Did see some tweets this morning from the White House in regards to Iran saying, diplomacy is our first choice, but if we have to, we'll use, force. So the same rhetoric we've heard, that isn't much of a change. Nat gas continues to move down under $3 now. So nat gas really getting to low levels, even with all these storms in the Northeast. So that seems to be good. And on the bad side, Bitcoin breaking to the downside actually just broke below a key level here at 62,700. I've been watching. So pretty weak here for crypto again. Yesterday on the show, I mentioned 63K was sort of the downside target to watch. We got there overnight. Now we're risking falling below sort of my key level here of, I need to put it on this chart, sorry. I have it set here at about 62,633. So we're right about it right now. Breakdown here, and I think we do retest that 60,000 level on Bitcoin. Ethereum weak also, all of crypto looking pretty weak so far. And we're just not seeing the spot flows we need to see. We're not seeing the setup we need to see for that to change, quite honestly, on a bigger level, because we are seeing still issues where folks are they're trying to buy the dip too quickly on the futures. So, there's a lot of folks that were buying, especially let's just use Bitcoin as our guide here. There are a lot of folks here that were buying Bitcoin long futures in that 68 range, the 65 range, the 64 range that are now added to the losers. So that setup means that every time we see a little bit of a pump to the upside, we're going to have sellers as those folks try to recoup some of their gains. And it's just not a conducive setup, and we're not seeing the spot volume we need so far. So crypto is still under pressure here, definitely not out of the woods yet, and at risk at maybe even breaking below those localized highs we hit on November 5th. So as you can see, I am a little bit bearish, or rather bearish, on the crypto sector today. That would be crypto itself and the crypto names, the Coinbases, the Robinhoods. Those names would also have me a little worried this morning as well. Overseas, we saw a little bit of a pullback in China. They had a huge day both on Monday. I don't know what I'm looking at there. They had a big day yesterday, excuse me, but pulling back tremendously today. And then the Nikkei, which had a weaker day yesterday, is having a little bit of strength show up today. Stocks holding steady, and that's close to its all-time high. So overseas markets outproducing or outperforming our markets right now. And that's been the case for the last, 3 to 4 weeks, as we've seen this rotation from growth and tech really into growth and tech into defensive plays. And we see, it's going to be tough for the markets to, especially the indices, to set new highs if growth, tech, and financials are laggards. They don't do as well, and they won't see that growth. The Dow will move up as defensive names get their bid, but those names have been bought up for the last couple of months. So I do think folks that are sort of getting in now on the defensive names are very late to the party. You need to start looking elsewhere there, and we'll ask BigBeat where he would be looking when he comes in at 9. Exactly that question, to find out where he'd be looking next. But it's going to be interesting. As for other catalysts that we keep an eye on, those are the big ones. Looking at the sectors of the S&P to see where any strength or weakness is so far today. Strength, we are seeing a little bit of a push up by technology. A lot of that, though, I'm going to have to assume is the chip sector, and really AMD. We'll get to it in a second, but they're definitely a leader so far today. Energy catching a little bit of a bid, and that's going to continue as long as the oil prices, continue to move to the upside. Those energy names should continue to see some strength. We do see green out of communications, industrials, and discretionary sector so far. Our red so far, and it's only slightly red, is healthcare sector, financials that I talked about that have been under pressure, utilities, and the material sector slightly. So not a lot of tell from sector rotation or anything here to really catch any kind of move one way or the other. So let's start to break down a little bit there. So, I mean, overall, we do have the right setup that if we do start to see prices moving up, the other things are set for risk on type of play, right? So the rates are fairly conducive, even with the 10-year up slightly today. That's working in our favor. Oh, what isn't working in our favor? I missed VIX. I don't know how I did that. Volatility index is still creeping up and pretty elevated at 21.27. So you do see you're paying a premium for a hedge on volatility here right now already. So that is, a little bit there that gives us that downside risk. Rates are conducive so far. Metals are conducive so far. Dollar is fairly conducive so far. Crypto really giving us a gauge into that risk on, though, that worries me for a lot of those beta names. Like I said already, crypto adjacent names, MSTR, BMNR, SBET, CIFR, Riot, Mara, all those will be under pressure today if Bitcoin does retrace down towards that 60K level that we are at risk of here. So hate to be the bearer of bad news there, especially when it comes to crypto, my baby. But, I do think we are unfortunately seeing a flush out, and that flush out might be indicative a little bit of that risk on, risk off. We'll see as things play out. Keeping the major news today is going to be, I've actually switched over and not watching CNBC because everything is the State of the Union. And how much politics can one person watch in a day? That's all they're talking about so far. But it's State of the Union, State of the Union, State of the Union. Meanwhile, biggest news, we've had a few breakouts or breakout moves today, and they've been around news. I mentioned AMD up about 10% now. I need to look at it on this one here, just so. And you can see it had gotten as high as 227, now back around 216. This is on news that Meta is made a major purchase there. They're going to buy a bunch. So it's very similar. It's funny to me that it's almost exactly the same news that pumped up NVIDIA last week, right? Was that Meta was going to deploy a huge amount of Blackwell and Rubens in their stuff. So now Meta has announced it has a multi-year deal with AMD, involves deploying up to 6 gigawatts of the company's graphic processing units for AI data centers. As I mentioned last week, it was NVIDIA. Today, it's AMD. And AMD has issued Meta a performance-based warrant to acquire 160 million of its shares, around 10% of the company. So the circular economy continues to play out. That's definitely going to be another subject to discuss with BigBeat here. Got to write my notes, circular. And we also want to talk about rotation. Playing out. And, I will say one of the bigger laggards or reasons we had laggards yesterday were, tech and growth so much had to do with a piece put out by Soprani Research that was sort of one of those out there discussions, and it was written in the lens of 2028 and explaining why the world's economy was in disrepair or why it was having so much problems. And, basically that report said, looking back at a hypothetical economic collapse, the main argument was that human intelligence, which is historically a scarce and very expensive resource, meaning people get paid a lot if they're smart, is rapidly being replaced or repriced to near zero by AI. And that as this intelligence premium collapses, AI agents become capable of performing complex white-collar work for just the cost of electricity. And that premium that now we pay for human intellect evaporates. And it's really out there. It predicts that all of those software companies will be replaced And companies like ServiceNow, Microsoft, all of them were down on that news. It also talked about, in this one for the pro crypto folks, which is so funny that Ethereum under so much pressure because it's the answer to what was yesterday's demise, which was that they also Visa and MasterCard saw drops because their reports suggested AI agents will bypass traditional card networks in favor of frictionless programmable rails, which is Ethereum smart contract-based, blockchain-based payment services. And that, we'll talk in 1 second about PayPal, but other than that, did not have the companies that are already firmly entrenched and they're really doing that much upward movement. Figure would be a good company there. Circle would be a good company there. And there are others. And that intermediated habits, which were companies like DoorDash. So this report, it's amazing how broad the impact was, where it hit our, the major hyperscalers from Microsoft, the major software companies like ServiceNow and Workday and all those, and the major payment platforms from American Express to Visa to MasterCard got hit from it. And then we also saw that companies like DoorDash, because it said that DoorDash has a moat built on human laziness, it said, that will disappear when AI agents, which don't have, home screens or brand loyalty, take over the ordering process. And even though Citrini said this has very clearly been a speculative thought exercise, not a formal price target or prescription or description, it's definitely had the market. It is, it's widely being pointed to as why yesterday we saw the SPY lose a point, the Dow lose 1.63%, and the NASDAQ lose 1.22%. So, the question is the circular economy, this goes right to that. If you want to put the tinfoil cap on, goes right into what Citrini was saying yesterday. And I did say AMD, they're going to deploy up to 6 gigawatts of graphics processing units for Meta. The CEO, Lisa Su, said that her company is delivering high performance, energy efficient infrastructure optimized for Meta's workload. And, again, I'm just stuck on this circular economy thing and the circle of AI. I am one of the firmest believers that AI is disrupting and changing our world faster than we realize. But, I do have to point to this circular where AMD is going to own part of Meta. Meta is going to own part of AMD. NVIDIA is going to own part of, Microsoft. Microsoft's going to own part of Google. Where does this interconnection become too much? And when, as stock pickers, which a lot of us are as stock traders, where is this intersection? At this point now, some of these single stock tickers that you would think, a play on AMD is a play on AMD, now a play on Meta, or is a play on Meta now, a play on AMD, which it is if they're going to buy 10% of the shares of stock of the company. And we, is everything going to follow the Berkshire Hathaway model? I guess is my question that I have for everybody. Let me know what you guys think. But that's the question is every company eventually going to follow in the footsteps sort of a Berkshire Hathaway, where they have built-in companies and then they invest in other companies, because that seems to be the way we're going. In Asia, we see it a lot with what they call trading houses, which really are, more a look at private equity there. So that is definitely, the number one thing moving the market so far. Let's take a look at the other chip names. NVIDIA's down on this news, which sort of makes sense. NVIDIA and AMD have almost in recent time been playing as the inverses of each other. When NVIDIA gets good news, AMD in general has had a rough day. And when AMD gets good news in general, NVIDIA's had a rough day, as those two are the ones that everyone seems to point at, because, or at least traders do. I shouldn't say everybody, but I will say traders. And the reason I say that is that oftentimes is when we've seen NVIDIA be the leader, we also see a nice move up by the others. So, and this is a perfect example. So AMD's success is bleeding over to companies like Qualcomm up 2.5%, TSM up 2.5%, ASML up 1%, Intel up 2.34%. And there's two laggards, broadband and NVIDIA, which would be the main competition for that same business. So it is doing what the market is. So make sure the different sets within those chipsets. The same way we talk about storage, right? Big names in storage, STX. So if you're playing memory and storage, if one of them is doing good or bad, that sector is STX. It's Western Digital, WDC. And it would also be SanDisk, a breakoff of the former Western Digital. So make sure you're looking at the competitive sets and realizing the same way. And it was interesting, this news came out today. As we know, tomorrow, NVIDIA has its earnings. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, probable catalyst that the market is looking at this week would be that. Speaking of catalysts and ones that have already passed, Home Depot was the big earnings report this morning. They had earnings at, I believe, 6 a.m. Crazy there. But they are up about 2.81% here in the pre-market after the home improvement retailer reported better than expected earnings. The shares jumped, like I said, almost 3% so far. They did report adjusted earnings of $2.58 a share. Revenue did slip about 3.8% from a year ago to $38.2 billion. And they pointed to, pretty decent, forward guidance. They basically kept it. They didn't really go up or down. They pretty much said it's unchanged. The outlook that they issued in December on their investor day, they're going to hold to that right now. They expect same-store sales of roughly flat to 2% at that midpoint. It is a little bit weaker than analysts were looking for. And adjusted earnings per share growth projections from flat to a 4% increase, which was in line with what the markets were pricing in. So again, nice little move to the upside on that for Home Depot. And again, Lowe's goes tomorrow, I believe. Whoops, I just pulled up the wrong Lowe's. Yeah, they have earnings tomorrow. They're up about 1.34 in a sympathy play. Those are the two that I usually look at there. Walmart, to a lesser degree, sympathy play there. Slight rebound. So not as much, but those are usually the ones that I take a look at if one of them's up. Yesterday somebody on the show said that, is it time to back up the truck and get some Novo Nordisk? Steve and I both said no to that because it just seems that it can't get out of its own way. The shares have slid another 3.5% today, even as the drug maker said that they are going to cut prices on their obesity drugs. So, they tried to come out and said that the CagriSema obesity drug yesterday failed to outperform or match up to Eli Lilly's Zepbound. They lowered the price on their drugs, and the market and traders aren't happy yet. So that's why, and I'll ask Steve again today, but I think I know his answer on whether he's buying this dip. No. Another, we said don't buy the dip yesterday, and again, I'm not buying the dip today. Hims and Hers down, another 5.74%. After the online health platform beat its estimates for the fourth quarter, but that is not what matters. And they did have weaker than expected revenue. What matters is forward guidance. And as we know, they've been ordered by the FDA or in threat of being under suit for the FDA. They pulled a lot of the compounding business they did where they were using the very similar things to Eli Lilly's and Novo Nordisk's GP-1 drugs. And with that, those two, of course, what we would take a look at is Eli Lilly and see if they're moving up on that news. Not really. They're down about 1.39%, but they had a strong day yesterday at 4.86%. So, a half back retracement is not unexpected there. IBM is rebounding a little bit here this morning after having their biggest drop in over 20 years, since I think it was the year 2000, actually. They went down 13% yesterday after AI startup Anthropic wrote a blog post about Claude and how Claude Code can now replace COBOL programmers. So I guess my year spent learning COBOL in college is now officially obsolete. It's pretty much been obsolete for the last 20 years, but that language is the language that is used on IBM mainframes. So again, they had the largest one session percentage decline in more than 25 years on that news. Other things that were moving so far today: BWX Technologies jumped about 8%, now about 6.6% after their earnings report. They did have a beat on top line revenue and a nice EPS beat of about 21% above what analysts were looking for there. And they issued strong guidance for the current years. So this one has taken off as we've seen the booming demand for nuclear power, which is the sector that they are in. Staying in the power side, Diamondback Energy down about 1.74, was down yesterday also after the oil and natural gas company missed fourth quarter earnings target, taking a hit from the soft crude prices. I will ask BigBeat today, is this a good day maybe to buy that dip? Because, what we know is oil and gas are moving up in price, not down, although I guess we'd have to ask him if he thinks that continuation will happen or not. But if he does, is this a good day to take a look at Diamondback for that type of play here? Let's get back to things that are moving in the right direction. Keysight Technologies is up almost 15%, over 15%, really, if you count their post-market. Everything's great. Zora, how are you today? This is after the electronic test equipment manager beat earnings and revenue estimates for their fiscal first quarter. They are definitely still benefiting from the AI boom, which has driven up data center demand for its products. And again, we talk about look for those things that people need to activate those NVIDIA and AMD chips. You need the cables, you need the electricity to power the data center, you need the cooling HVAC for it, you need security cameras. There's a lot of different areas of AI that are still seeing huge growth. Focus on those more than the ones that have already maybe seen the huge move to the upside. Another company not doing so well today is Kratos, the defense contractor, one of those Beltway bandits, as I call them, down here after the drone maker reported better than expected fourth quarter earnings and issued outlook that implied sales growth of about 20%. But it looks like that good news might have already been priced in. I think I had, let me see my notes here. I had a couple of, no, those were my main notes on it. They're just that they were down and that they were pointing towards big growth there. Whirlpool, another one that was down here today after they announced public offerings of common stock and depository shares. So not really good. It's not as big a deal. And again, we'll ask BigBeat about this. But, normally small growth companies are the companies that need to issue stocks in public offerings. When Whirlpool is using money or trying to do this, it's a little bit different. So I haven't really seen that before. I want to ask him his views on that. Some other movers we've been watching so far today, or I've been watching so far today. has also been, no, I think I hit actually most of them. Workday has earnings today, and they're up about 1.36% going into those earnings so far. I'm watching them today. Other earnings that we want to keep an eye on today, you have Tempest AI. So that will give you a read for those beta names for sure, those AI names for sure. You also have First Solar with earnings today. So give you a good read on what's going on the electrical side there, the solar side. Meme coin darling AMC has earnings today. Looks like they already came out and it's a miss. They did beat top line revenue, but they missed their EPS. So the movie theater chain also reporting today. So those are some of the names that I'm keeping an eye on so far. As we get ready, we are about 30 minutes from the open. And again, the NASDAQ now moving towards the highs of the morning, up about 46 basis points. The S&P is up about 17 basis points. And the Dow up 31 basis points. But it is going to be a tweet analysis day with the State of the Union and everything else going on. I do see the big man is here. So let's get his intro played and get him in here.
When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, Big Beat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
Good morning, Big Beat. Are you ready for our State of the Union? I need our State of Big Beat, not the State of the Union.
Well, I find it interesting that I was very impressed with the president's words this morning. And what he said this morning was that he said, this is now my economy. He took ownership of it. Well, that's great because it's now been over a year now. And I'm glad to see that, right? He's now saying this is mine, and it's a hard sell. He's saying it. He's saying this is a hard sell. Why? Because, well, we see the numbers. Well, we see all the things that's happening, and things aren't really moving the way that he said they were going to happen. He didn't fix problems. Instead of one war, we have four. All the things that he said he was going to do, literally nothing has happened. It's the opposite. And he's going to blame Democrats. He's going to blame the Supreme Court if they show up today. Maybe some of them do. Maybe
They're
some
going to
of them
show up. They're coming.
There's some of them are saying they won't. We now have four
That'd
senators.
Be huge, Steve. If these, this is,
I agree.
This is a big, protocol matters in DC, as you know. And that, I members of Congress, that's bad. That's already, bad, but we've seen that in the past. I don't think,
Rarely,
to my knowledge, we've ever seen Supreme Court not be there for the State of the Union. And again, the reason that's important for folks that maybe are saying, who cares? It's the three
freaking deal.
Three houses, there's three parts to it. We have a trilateral government for a reason, and they all should be together. And if they can't get along, at least, that's bad, Well,
they obviously can't get along at all because he broke the law. And then the Supreme Court told him not. It's not just once. Has he actually won anything in the Supreme Court? Literally anything.
Yeah, he's taken he's taken 3 out of 4 if you look at it. But they're they're not as big as this.
Right. Yeah. I'm talking about big things. Has he won anything big? No. I don't think so. Little bitty things. But I think he realizes that his numbers are really bad. He knows that. The new Fox poll, not CNN.
Yeah,
Fox 38% approval rating. Yeah. We're talking Nixon numbers now. This is really bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no other way to put that. That just absolutely is.
It's not my words. It's Fox. It's his own damn team saying it. So, and I think it's why he's saying I own this economy and I'm having a hard time selling it. Right. Look, he needs to explain a lot of his positions here. First of all, I need to understand his position in Ukraine. Okay. Second, I need to understand his position in Iran. according to Trump, he knows, quote, more than the generals. This is not a bash on the president today. I'm not bashing the president. It's not what I'm doing. I'm just calling it out what's really happening. He said 6 months ago, I know more than the generals. Well, General Kane said to him that they need to rethink this because they don't have enough ammunition to actually bomb Iran. And yet you've got the biggest fleet in modern history sitting off the coast in the Strait of Hormuz. This is a problem, right? This is not this, and this is, you're spending billions and billions, hundreds of, all the money is supposedly, quote, saved, all the money that all this stuff is gone, and we're spending more money than we have ever spent, and the inflation is according to Goolsbee, is not in check. So no rate cut, and yet 4.004% on the 10-year. This is not a good sign. I've mentioned this for 2 years now that the bond market is not good, and now JP Morgan now calls it the cockroaches. I mean, these are all the things we've been talking about. I've been called out saying I was wrong. People, my own team said I was wrong. No, it's happening in real time now. And that's the difference of Quasar markets, right? That I want to know what's going on in the future. I don't want to know what people are thinking right now so they can make a decision right now. I want to understand the future so I can make a better decision. So I avoid the future problems. And we're not doing that right now. We're actually running right smack dab in the problems that we talked about.
And I got to point out, not only we've been saying it for months, right? But Jamie Dimon yesterday said that he's anxious about the U.S. economy. And he said that elevated asset prices in the competitive environment in banking reminded him of pre-2008 crisis years. And he said people are getting a little comfortable that this is real, these high asset prices and high volumes, and that we won't have any problems.
I think all you would take my words and just change them around a little bit. This is almost a verbatim what I was saying for 6 months.
And then we've got, Mr. Flanagan's favorite person from the Fed, Austin Goolsbee, who came out and said rate cuts aren't appropriate unless there's more evidence that inflation is on its way down.
Goolsbee's a little different. Goolsbee's Mr. Chicago. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Goolsbee's trying to back up his words now. That's what I said yesterday. Housing price index now month over month coming in at 0.1%. Forecast was 0.3%. This is the worst. This might be literally the worst housing market we've seen since 2008, and might be even worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, it's there, and the question is going to be, is Congress going to do something? Yesterday I saw, we know that Elizabeth Warren and the president were kumbaya together working to stop large corporations. That sort of has, ended very quickly, and now they're sparring about what should be done and how it should be done. So hopefully they'll come to better.
The two of them should not be anywhere near the economy. Elizabeth Warren should be literally no
economy. I've got a couple of questions.
Neither one of them should have anything to say about the economy. Neither one of them have understanding of how the economy actually freaking works.
No, I
especially Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
So we're gonna get off of that because I want to ask you a few things.
Sure.
Today AMD up 10% because Meta's now you're going to use their chips. Last week it was they're going to use NVIDIA chips that moves them up X amount. Today, they just said now Meta can buy up to 10% of AMD. They have warrants for 10% of AMD. Last week, it was NVIDIA, right? Same type of situation. And did you see Citrini's report that everyone's pointing to as yesterday's demise is based upon that report that sort of looked back from 2028 to say why the demise of the world's economy has come. And it was all about, it seems so crazy until we get to the point is, and I got to ask you, are you diversified if you buy a single stock like Meta now? Because now you're buying Meta, you're buying AMD, you're buying NVIDIA. Am I buying an ETF? Is everybody going the way of Berkshire is what my question was. That's what I wrote down. Are we seeing where that's going to be the future like it is in Japan where trading houses, that is what they do, right? And the same thing here. Are all of these major Mag 7 sort of companies going to own a piece of everything?
Yes and no. I mean, the thing about Meta here is that they understand that the world is going toward wearables. We know that Apple is telling us that they're going to have a pen, some glasses coming, and they know they need to be getting those chipsets ready to go. You can't just produce machines overnight, right? It takes a little while to get things done, And in the case of Meta, they realized that this wearable thing is big. So the Oculus / new frames, Oakley's, right, is part of it. Ray-Ban's part of it. And they're going to need a lot of chips and very small chips, and AMD and NVIDIA make that. So they don't want to have one. They're smart about it, not getting it all from one place. All right, if NVIDIA goes down, they get it from AMD. And I expect Taiwan Semi to be right in the mix of that. Some Qualcomm too as well for wireless. You make a very good point, Howard. But no, I don't think it's like their own ETF. I think it'd be more like they're having issues in regards to getting things, and they're very concerned about the future. They really realize that. Here's what really
want to be. So they figure if they own 10%, I'm number one, customer number one.
That's right. Yeah, get me in front of the the line because now I'm a shareholder. But it's what we also have a problem here is that when you look at the market itself. That puts us at a disadvantage. People that are looking to buy, NVIDIA chipsets.
Yeah, no, without a doubt there. And Steve, we're seeing so much talk, and we're seeing the way rotation continues to go into energy and these other names. In my opinion, have we gotten a little too far? Is that trade done? Is that rotation done? To me, it seems like it is. These names, the defensive names, are at all-time highs for a lot of these. Should our traders be looking elsewhere? Should they be looking for value and making sure that they're not buying what they think is perceived value, and maybe you're buying at the top? What I don't want to see is the same people who bought at the top of tech and just sold buy at the top of Home Depot, Walmart, these defensive names, and have the same thing happen. So I wanted to ask.
Well, you looked at yesterday. I talked about REITs. I had two people say REITs, and I'm like, I don't know about that. O is really overvalued in the midst of it, but yet people are buying it because of the percentages that's paying out as a defensive play. Look, if people are not doing well and inflation is up, and Walmart and Costco and those companies that we've been talking about, I'm not a big buyer of Walmart and Costco here anymore, right? I'm out.
And that's what I'm asking, because to me, I see everybody else pointing everybody to those names, and I'm like, those names are already, they've made big moves. It's not like they've,
right.
They haven't yet. So I want to see
gold getting smacked here a little bit.
Is it right now?
51.
That's good for risk on, right? In theory.
Yeah.
Although to me, metals have almost been a risk-on play.
I'd say the play of the day is IBM. I mean, that thing got completely walloped yesterday for no reason but one little thing from Claude about Claude. Give me a break. I mean, that would hurt me yesterday, and I was like, "This is stupid." I bought more. I was like, "This is dumb." And that's the algo we're talking about.
Claude can do, and what I'd want everybody in about 15 minutes, Anthropic is going to do they're going to do another demonstration of all these things, their new agentic stuff. So software names, I'd be very careful of.
I have Claude, Suno, Perplexity, Grok, Opus. I got 18 AI sitting on my desk. Right? Let me just be honest with you. Grok isn't the greatest. Perplexity is not the greatest. They're not all the greatest. They're good at what they do, one little thing, right? They each do something very, very well. Nobody has something that does everything well. If you're doing all the finance on Perplexity, it's stupid. Okay? If you're doing everything, if you're doing all your video on Grok, it's not going to work. It's a mixture. It's always been that way, and it will continue to be that way. You don't go to Google and get all your searches on Google. Even back in the day, you didn't, right? You Google search something, you found something, then you went to the website, then you looked around. That's the same thing with AI, right? So this whole thing about Claude's going to take over, Anthropic's going to take over all of the building of everything is nonsense. I know that. I build modules on Claude all the time, right? But it's not the answer to everything. It's not going to make it pretty. I have to use different AIs for different things. Basically, I don't use Suno to make pictures. Suno's for music, right? That's the key. But they're all fighting for those eyeballs. Every single AI is going, oh, well, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. Well, talk's cheap. Show me, right? And Anthropic hasn't really shown me. They showed me a few things. I've seen websites and I've seen Twitter feeds going, oh, look what this company can do. Look what I can build a whole Bloomberg terminal with my Claude. No, you can't, and it sucks. I've tried it. It sucks. No, the OpenBB is not that great. I play with it. I've got it literally sitting on my desk. It's not that great. Right? That's why I'm building Quasar markets, right? Because it's not good. It's crap, but it may be good to you. And that's the key, right? We want to make sure that quality, and these stupid algos that are picking up this thing from yesterday about COBOL. I was programming COBOL in grade school. I understand that at IBM is that 95% of ATMs are on COBOL data. And I've been saying this for 15 years that eventually coders will, all the old code will be upgraded by machines. But it can't code 20, in this case, 57 billion lines of code overnight. It can't do it. It's going to take a year or more. Right? That's why we need high-speed data. That's why we need these data sets, and this is why we need high-speed lines. This is why we need NVIDIA, AMD, all the things we've been talking about. But they're not really ready to go, and you can't take a whole data warehouse to get this done. It's not going to happen. So it's going to take some time, and people want it to happen, and that's why right now what it's up. IBM's up 2.31%.
Yep, Stephen, like you said, last thing I have for you before I run here, Keysight Technology is one of those picks and shovels that people aren't so sexy in the AI. To me, that might be some of the areas to look for rotation into. We talked about it. Cable makers like Corning just went up, right? Because they make all the fiber optics glow. This is another one. They make, the switches that go into it, and they're up, 13% today. So is it picks and shovels that we look at right now?
Well, right now, yeah, that's obvious. The issue for me, obviously, is when you look at the picks and shovel, what do the actual picks and shovels do, right? I need to understand, and is it something that continues to be doing something, right? Is it concrete? Okay, well, you only pour concrete once in the building, and then you're done, you're out. Is it something like electricity that they need all the time, every time, all the time, every time? That's different. That's picks and shovels that I do like, right? And so in that case, it's going to be like parts, right, in the machines, in chipsets that they burn out and they need to replace, burnt out, replace, burnt out, replace. That's cool. That makes money and it keeps the pipeline going. I think that when you look at it for me, when you put the fiber optic lines in, it's a one-time thing, right? So I don't think that's the case. I don't think bricks and mortar, it's a one-time thing. So for me, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, BigBeat, I'm going to leave you Quasar Markets. Everybody have a great day. Steve's going to take you through the open here.
All right, everybody. Thanks, Howard. And I am going to present my screens here. I'm going to share my charts this morning. O is on his way in. We'll see him in a few minutes. Look, this sell-off is where the buyers are, and that's what they went to. The algos picked it up yesterday, folks, on IBM. If you're an investor, this is an amazing opportunity. You do not have a better opportunity to buy, and I'm not telling you to buy it or sell it. I don't do that. But you're getting very close to 200-day moving average, and this thing is right in there. Look, if you look at IBM all the way through, let's go back years now. It hasn't even touched 200-day moving averages. So this is really good. I like this here, and I bought some more down here. I think this is really good. We just talked about it from the perspective of AI and CoreWeave. I liked CoreWeave on this bounce. I'm gonna continue to own CoreWeave. I am long CoreWeave. Most of you know I yesterday bought some. But yeah, I'm still pretty long CoreWeave here, and this I'm gonna pull up a 3-minute chart for the morning, see where we're going. But I think the key here is I think we go higher here on CoreWeave today, and obviously Palantir, PLTR was the other one. Yesterday I bought on that dip, and you can see the dip yesterday. I like that 127. I dumped it yesterday a little bit. I'm still long Palantir. And look, Michael Burry's going to have to close that short at some point. He's making a big mistake, because I think you're seeing Palantir in full swing when you see it in the military. So we've been using it quite heavily, and Palantir is not going to stop there. They're going to be healthcare and everything else. So you can see where the buyers are. You can see where all the buyers are down in here. So it's reached there 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times, and can't break through. So I like this in this area here for Palantir. But most of you know I bought Palantir at 35 and I dumped it over 200. So yeah, enjoyed that run. All right. Any stocks out there that you guys are looking at? Let me know. happy to look at them too as well. There's a lot of things out there that I really was interested in for myself, and that I think when you look at it as an overall market, what am I really looking at? Are the Qs leading here? And I'm gonna put it's a 1 hour chart, and this is linear regression, which I think is the lowest form of learning about the markets, right? Makes it easier for people to see it, read it, but it doesn't give you the whole picture. But in this case here, you can see in the Qs, this is algos that are playing this, right? If you look at this, what are you seeing? I'm not seeing much of anything. I mean, I'm just seeing a bounce to the mid section here, regression, right? I want to bring O in right now. Hang on. Here we go. Hey, how are you, man?
Hey, how are you? Sorry about the delay.
Just looking at Qs this morning, and you can see right here, I'm still seeing right here in the midpoint. There's nothing. There's really no buyers and sellers. It's just it's like trading with the machines, right?
Yeah. Let me look at this for a second too.
All right, let's get to it. So we'll look at NVIDIA stock here too as well. I like NVIDIA as well. I'm going to pull up NVIDIA. You just saw AMD this morning. There we go, AMD popping on that news this morning for the 5-year deal with AMD chipsets. And there we go. Look, but I really think that AMD company might be a little overbought here a little bit. What do you think, O?
Let's see. What's it at right now? Let me just pull it up right here. 1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Also looking at Amazon this morning as buyers. I just got 2 packages from Amazon this morning as well. Turning as well here, and you see where my lines were from the other day that I wrote, right? It's right there. So we're right back to those lines again. A little bit out of it, and there's your buyers and there's your sellers, right? And so to me, the market just seems to be running on algos there, O.
Yeah, I agree. And Amazon looks like it's kind of there at the bottom, and it might do. It's looking like it's kind of building, but we'll see how it goes in the open here in 7 minutes, because it doesn't have that much pre-market volume, but it's still, there. Let's see.
Still seeing gold selling off here, 51.16 now, 51.15 now an ounce. It seems like it's still with risk off coming off of gold. Gold, I've heard so much about how gold's the protector of your portfolio. It really hasn't done much.
Well, it just like a lot of things I've noticed lately, when things are supposed to be the protectorate, they might be the ones to take off. Like, for example, silver was supposed to be pretty steady, right? And then it just took off, and then it came back down. But I mean, people, like you said, right now there's so much uncertainty between wars, between what's going to happen with the housing, with all this different stuff, that they think it's safe because it's traditionally that's what they were taught by their parents.
Right.
But now it has a mind of its own. So,
well, I think it's the same situation. And you can see HIMS, HIMS is down almost 7% here on that on their earnings this morning. To me, none of this is working for anybody, right? I think it's literally algos basing off every tweet coming out.
Well, yeah, it scrapes the whole internet trying to find a single thing, and once it reads something, that it just goes off of that, and then. But the good news is, if you see within an hour or so, or a couple hours, it bounces back. It makes the correction almost instantly.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
you'll see there's a big shift, and that's what we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, and it just seems like everybody's looking for alpha and they can't find alpha. So anything is beaten up, they're buying the dip because there's just so much cash on the sideline.
Right.
Taiwan Semi TSM now also up here. TSM now sitting up about 2.6% here. Probably all, and I said this earlier this morning, you know, with the AMD deal going on, Taiwan Semi is the one that's sitting out there that hasn't, yeah. Detroit Lions will play a 2026 home game in Munich, Germany next year.
That'll be interesting to watch. The last couple of years.
You're not gonna go
to Germany? No. Even the games here, they've been ridiculously overpriced. They used to be so cheap. I remember they would say like $10 just to go. Now just to get the very, very top is a couple $100.
Oh wow.
But let's see here.
Yeah, I mean inflation's out of control right now, right?
Right. Plus they started being a little bit good, so
all right, we got about looks like we got about 3.5 minutes now to the open. 602.92. I've got a 1 minute chart sitting up here. I'm gonna pull a 3 minute chart up just to keep our eyes tight, but you can see where the market seems to be. Futures are not good here, but the 200R here is looking pretty bouncy off these numbers here. So let's pull up a 1 hour chart on the Q, see where we are. Again, a lot of sellers up there where my lines are. Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking. So I think there's so much trepidation with the State of the Union tonight that I'm not really sure what to do today. I might just sit on my hands today.
Sometimes that's the best strategy. When you don't see and there's a lot of anticipation. I mean, otherwise, you know, it could go your way or it could go the other way, but sometimes that's the best strategy.
Yeah, but I'm long from IBM to 258. So here we are at 227. I'm not a happy camper yet, but we'll get back up there. I'm not too concerned about that. There's a lot of institutions that I'll be looking to buy. You can see on the 1 hour chart the big buy signal has popped in here, and of course I bought more, so I lowered my entry. I don't know where the revised entry is yet. I'll look at that when for DCA and this dollar cost averaging. So it'll be somewhere around 235, 236, somewhere around there. We'll see. But that's where I was 258 yesterday. All right. We got about
positive. It just spiked up a little bit here to get over that edge.
Intel now up 1.1% also. Newsmax, NMAX down. I mean, that thing's at 1%. It's down to $5.50 now a share. Wow. DJT now under $10 a share. Wow.
Yeah, that really took a hit.
Bank of England's Bailey now says that don't need to see that happen for a further cut. Says inflation persistence risks have become less pronounced. Says stablecoin growth could drive $1 trillion in treasury demand. Wow. All right, we got about 45 seconds here.
What are you looking at, IBM for the open?
Yeah, I think IBM is probably the play of the day today. For those long-term investors to put that in the account and shove it away for a while. All right, here we go. Market open. IBM 225 now, 17, 225 now, sure. Slipping a bit here. Oh, if you'll hold the helm, I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, those 3 red candles back to back. At least the one I'm looking at right here for IBM is just looks pretty. Honestly, I'm a little bit shocked. I was expecting it to go up with the open, but it just took a little bit of down. So can't win them all. Let's see. See what else is going on right here. Amazon's basically following suit. Let's see what is Bitcoin doing? Wow. Bitcoin is down about $200 since the open. So it just took a little hit right at the open. Let's see. Semi. X actually holding its own, actually going higher. Taiwan Semiconductor is up 2.9% right now. The open gave it a little boost, but unlike Amazon and IBM, it's had some news. So I'm watching Bitcoin. And what really is giving this some?
There goes IBM. Fuck.
So is Taiwan Semiconductor. That really took off a little bit with the open, but it came back down a little bit, and it's pretty strong. But I'm trying to see. So let me go back to Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin looking, just it's still slipping a little bit, 63,000, but it seems to be where it's at, though. I don't see much there. I think we get back to 70,000 pretty quickly, to be honest with you.
Do you think tonight's State of the Union might affect it? Because like originally, when Trump won the election, it skyrocketed, all that stuff, it went up, and then it just came, when reality set in, it all came back down. So do you think it might play an effect of what happens today?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, he is the president of the United States. As blunderish as he is, has made some massive mistakes, and it's cost the United States. And now tariffs again have cost us. I don't know where we are. It's not about bashing the president. I bashed Biden quite a bit. It's about understanding where we are as a country and what we're moving to, right? And right now, he's saying that he's going to accept that this is his economy. Okay, then we need to see more than just what we're seeing right now, I think.
Right, because when you say such a statement, you got to be able to take the good and the bad. So let's see.
Fed's Cook says because of AI, U.S. is approaching most significant reorganization of work in generations. Yeah, I mean, we know that.
Let's see.
Says neutral rate could fall over time as productivity gains are realized or if changes. I mean, that's exactly right. I think that's the key right here, right now. Is it's AI. And when I talked about it 15 years ago, people didn't really think of it. Now today, yeah. Anthropic announces 10 AI plugins for investment banking, human resource designs, and other tasks. I agree. I've got Claude on my computer.
Amazon is struggling to. Oh, this just keeps.
Robinhood now is $69.50 now a share, down 3%. CoreWeave up 1.35%. Palantir down about 3%, but IBM up about 2.3%. I think IBM pushes up today.
AMD is almost 7.5% up today.
Yeah, I mean it's taken a beating since this morning, right? Since that news this morning was up about 15% this morning. Now only up 7%. So yeah,
it's giving up some.
Yeah, now short SanDisk SNDK here. SNDK, we're hearing that Citron is short SanDisk, now down 1.3%. SNDK. SNDK down 1.2%.
Oracle made a little bit of a bounce back from the open. It's up about 0.5% right now, but yeah, it's making a little move right here. Oracle. You want to pull it up?
IBM now 229 here. Citron Research getting a bounce off of that quick sell off on the algo. Might actually go green here in a second. IBM now 230 a share now. I thought that was the buy of the day there. I thought that exactly what I thought this morning.
Check out Oracle real quick. It's about 1% now. It just keeps.
231 now on IBM. Oracle, yeah, Oracle pushing up now. I mean, I think Oracle is finally done it. I mean, I was asked when I was at Schwab on the floor not too long ago about Oracle. I did not like it then at 200. I do think it's much better here at 140. I think it's down here in the numbers where the buyers were, which was around 133, 138 was the day's range. 52 range is 118. So we're getting on those numbers, and I liked it. 231.5 now here on IBM.
Sorry.
Tick now pushing higher here now, up 172 here. Advanced decline here down up 894 here. So 63.2 now on Bitcoin. So we are seeing some buyers stepping back in. It looks like buying the dip. Dow up 300 here as the Dow was up 900 yesterday. $231.70 now here on IBM. Palantir might actually go green here. 232 now here on IBM. Those of you who are paying attention at home, that's where I thought we were going. The sell-off was too much, I thought, on IBM. Way out of the numbers. 232.30 now here. $232.78 now. $233 now here on IBM as the buyer's stepping in now on IBM here. IBM now at 4.3%. So it's exactly what I said. I thought the selling was way, way overdone here on this. It was nonsense. And I think the buyers wanted to step in and say hello. I think there was a lot of shorts on the algo side, and I think it was nonsense. And you can see where the buyers stepped in.
Yeah. Hasta luego.
Okay, paparon.
$233.30 now, and tick now for almost 500 here as buyers are really stepping in now everywhere. 63.4 now on Bitcoin here.
Yeah. Let's see.
232.64 now. Looking at gold now, 51.33. This morning, I thought that sell-off in gold was telling the world everything, right? That it was going to move back into stocks, which seemed to be had been beaten up. 233.30 now here. 233.50 now. 69 now on IBM as IBM's buyers are really stepping in now. $234.25 now on IBM.
IBM, yep.
Congrats,
Well,
everybody.
right. That was the play of the day. I mean,
now up 5% now on IBM. $235 now on IBM as buyers still coming in. Look at that.
let's see.
That's what Quasar Markets does.
It came a little bit back. It couldn't. That I think that's where it's struggling at 235. What do you think?
3-minute charts telling me just about everything I need to know. We're getting in those numbers where it could be short term, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of real estate between here and here, right? So
right.
For me, yeah. $235.16 now. We're now at 5.25% now here in the day. Tick still up 360 now here on the morning session here already. Cash session. Advanced decline positive by 1369 now.
The Qs are up about 0.5%. I mean, yeah.
230, almost 236 there as we were getting close to the top there. Going to make another move here on IBM as buyers. I think that was shorts yesterday that walloped it and they're covering now. Tick up 400. Tick now up almost 500 here. Buyers still coming in. Advanced decline now positive by 1,600. We're seeing a fairly positive day. It's Dow up 400 and the Dow up 107. So interesting here. Coffee futures now up 1.76%. Some selling here now in IBM. I thought that was kind of the top up there. Nice run up there. But I think we continue to push higher actually. If you look at the 1 hour chart here, we are still pushing. So we just started to push. I don't think this, I think there's some profit taking, understandable. But I still like this. Tick still up 356, so still the bullishness on here, and positive by 1,600 here. Yeah, 235 again on yeah. There we go again on the IBM, making another run at this. Can we break above again? And it does say that there are some sellers up here, folks, so be careful. But I mean, can we break through that? Maybe, yeah. This looks like it's like institutional buying to me. And now seeing a little bit more selling here as we're pushing down to those numbers in here. We see that that's where the buyers were again. No bids coming in now from the institutions. Yeah, there we go. And now some profit taking. Algos are hitting it a little bit now. You can see the algos popping in. But I'm not scared about this one. This is a good one. I like this buy. This was good.
See, I looking into this, I feel like the algorithms make all the wrong moves, and I don't know why anybody would trust what's going on with, like, why would they?
Because people are lazy. People are lazy. They want a machine to do it for them. They just don't want to do this. They don't want to sit up every single day, get up and do this every single day.
Yeah, but it's your money. I mean, you can't blame a machine later, like, oh, it lost me the money. You know,
people do.
Yeah, I think you were right. I'm gonna have to agree with you. IBM was the play of the day today, and let's see.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch this thing. I like it here. I think we go higher here. I think if you look at a 1 minute chart really fast, I think we can break right back on up. Yeah, I see where the buyers. Yeah, see this? I like this move. I think these people that sold up there, yeah, I understand they took some profit, but I think they were wrong here. I think we go right on back up. Core Weave now up 6% on the day. So those of you who are playing Core Weave with me also should be happy. Palantir only valid now.
Taiwan Semiconductor over the last couple days has been doing phenomenal.
Yes.
Looking at it, I'm like, wow, and today is no different.
Feds Waller says AI won't completely take humans out of the picture. It's a tool. It'll take some people out.
The ones who are not willing to adapt, because like I said before, I think AI should be here to complement what you do, not replace what you do. But if you just don't incorporate it in what you do, it's gonna replace the whole thing. And
here we go again. Some sellers in here. That's definitely algos, folks. That is not humans. That's not institutional. That is algo right there, because you can see where the volume is slowed down and it's trying to take some the biggest push is here. So this is algorithmic trading. Be careful here, but I don't care. I think that the institutions will be buying up IBM for longer term, and I like it longer term. I'm going to stay here with this one. Tick now up over 2,000, 2,061 now. Got about 10 minutes now, top of the hour. Boeing up 2% here. Royal Caribbean up 3% here on this day. Disney also up another 1.5%. IBM pumping again here. Let's see if we can get pushed again here. There are some sellers right here. Let's break through that and go right on up. Core we've now have 6% here. All right, we're writing these numbers again. Let's see if we can push through it. Let's push through. So it does look like it's starting to flag a bit. So let's see if that. What I mean by that is that, and this. Let's break out of this and go on up, huh? Oh, see what I mean? That's what I mean by it's flagging here. And that's why you know algos are involved. Look at that. Meta says they're aiming to get into the stable coins next year. All right, and there's the selling on IBM that you couldn't push up, so they broke it out. There we are. I'm not too scared though. And let's see if we get this turnaround now. We're kind of expecting a little bit here. This is a 1 minute chart. 3 minute chart here is same thing, right? These numbers, when it broke out the numbers, that's when it fell. But still like it here. Yeah, it looks like the sellers are now done. Now we try it again. Make another run at this. Still seeing some selling here. Is starting to see a little bit of selling across the board here. Profit taking a little bit as AI still hitting the headlines. Right, there's where the buyers stepped back in. Should see a curve here. Jesus.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's just busy morning. You think for IBM, these recent down candles are for with like bots trading algorithm? You said.
Yeah, I know it totally is. This is all algo trading right now. There's nothing here that's actual buyers now. Pretty quiet here so far now after that nice little run here.
Right.
There's just profit taking going on everywhere. Q's doing the same thing here. Yeah, just a little bit of profit taking on that run. But you can see the sellers are really not as strong as the buyers today.
Apple right off the open is up about almost 3%, $8 right now at 274. Do they have any news? Let's see.
Q's are trying. It's just weak. This market's weak. Tick down 300 here. conference board consumer confidence 91.2. Estimate there was 87. So consumer confidence up a little bit in February. I don't believe that.
Yeah, that's odd.
Well done, Zora. All right, it's to the clock. Got anything to say here before we let you go out?
It's just a interesting time we live in. These markets are, we have to fight off computers, and we have to see how this new sentiment of the market is, which is, I'm excited to get back in it and start seeing exactly how it was. I got to get back in that groove, but
Look at that.
You know, I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys. And
all right, oh, thanks much.
Yep.
All right, for those of us here, Quasar Markets Live, appreciate it all you see. And wow, big numbers today. I love that. All right, we'll see you next time.